Good evening. Welcome everybody to the August 26th, 2020 meeting of the Delhi Township Board of Trustees. We welcome everybody in attendance tonight. We will have the Pledge of Allegiance, and then after the Pledge of Allegiance, we will have a moment of silence. Tonight, our moment of silence goes out to the Osterfeld family. Many of you know Don and his wife Ann. He's our emeritus commander of our Delhi Township Veterans Association, a true ambassador of Delhi, but his brother passed, his brother Dennis, after a little health battle. So we just keep them in our prayers and our thoughts as they continue to heal from that. And as always, we remember all those frontline people working against the COVID, trying to really keep things together, if you would. So we keep all the first responders, all those people that are dealing head on with the COVID in our thoughts and our prayers also. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which we stand, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much. Thank you for being in attendance tonight. Had you told us, any of us up here, that last time we were up here that we would be going through what we've gone through over the last several months, we would have thought, no way. But we're still doing it. Here we are. So it's good to be back together. And all of you, thanks for your patience. Those that are in-house here today, this evening, thanks for your patience. Thanks for coming out. And again, being part of government, if you will. We have approval of the minutes, if you would, please. Mr. Luby.
Motion to approve the minutes from the Board of Trustees meeting held on August 12th, 2020, and dispense with the reading.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes, motion is approved.
Motion to approve the payment of overtime for pay period ending August 11th, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes, motion is approved.
Motion to approve bills for payment.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, motion approved. Report from the fiscal officer, Mr. Luby.
Resolution 2020-148, resolution declaring official intent with respect to reimbursements of temporary advances made for expenditures for capital improvements, for public infrastructure improvements, for a new township building project, fiscal years 2020 and 2021, to be made from subsequent borrowings and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Is there any discussion on this resolution?
I can help highlight what this is about. It's not something we do every day. If you ultimately issue some debt next year for the mixed-use project on the Remke property, to reimburse yourselves through that bond, those bond proceeds for project costs, you have to do this sort of resolution to declare you will be reimbursing yourself or could reimburse yourselves. So in order to pull off of that and reimburse yourselves from the debt issuance, the bond, you need this resolution in place.
Very good. Thank you. Any other discussion?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
And I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes, resolution passes.
Resolution 2020-149, resolution amending appropriations for expenses, declaring an emergency, and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on the resolution?
I will tell you this coincides with the first resolution in part to move some money into a fund that you would use for those costs you might have between now and when you issue the bond. And it also includes some money the fire department got back in rebates for their lighting project. So that's the money movement here.
Very good. Any other discussion?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes. Resolution passes.
Resolution 2020-150, resolution authorizing the township administrator to spend greater than $10,000 on behalf of the township, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Is there any discussion on this resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
And I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes, resolution passes. Trustee correspondence, Trustee Seavey.
Really, just nothing tonight. Good to see everybody in person, even my fellow trustee members. So stay safe out there. I have no other further correspondence.
Thank you. Trustee Sturts.
Just a couple things. You notice Delhi Oil is down, the building there at the corner of Delhi and Anderson Ferry, and we're very proud of it. And hopefully, we're getting, well, not hopefully, but I know I'm getting a lot of unsolicited comments about how nice it looks now. And everybody's very interested in what's going to happen. So stay tuned. This is just the beginning of what's happening to rejuvenate the Pike. So we're very excited that you're excited about it and have noticed and appreciated that. Secondly, I want to thank Mr. Soupy and the Parks Department. I got a couple comments. People have been watching you clean the playground or sanitize the playground, and they were very surprised and very pleased, and they wanted me to give you a shout out for that. So thank you for following the rules and making sure our children and families are safe. That's all.
Very good, thank you. And I concur in the comments on the Pike. There's lots of great energy going on out there, and over the next couple of years, it's going to be incredible. And as we've said many times, we've waited a long time, especially those that have been out here in Delhi 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 80, I don't know how many years. A long time. There you go. The great things that are going on, and when you see the buildings coming down and really things, they're just really going to take shape in a nice way. And again, part of the Plan the Pike that's been going on for years here with Trustee Sturts and Trustee Seavey and everybody involved, from the meetings, from the township to the residents, everyone having a say. And as we opened up the meeting, just talking about government in action and being a part of that. So I'm thrilled, and I think this is going to be something special over the next couple of years. It really will. So good job. Public hearing, please. We have a zoning case tonight. We have a motion to open the hearing.
Motion to open the public hearing for the Delhi Township zoning case ZC 2020-02 for zoning map and parcel rezoning request for property located at 6236 Cleves Warsaw Pike.
Mr. Chairman, maybe before Greg starts and puts his hands on things too much. If you're going to speak, keep your mask on and maybe keep your hands at your side so you're not touching the things up there, just for anybody that's going to speak.
Thank you. Trustee Sturts.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Motion is approved. Very good. Mr. DeLong?
We have a PowerPoint we'll be running through here real quickly, hopefully. This is to hear a request for proposed rezoning to the zoning map to rezone property located at 6236 Cleves Warsaw Pike. And this is going from the A2 residence district to the A2 CUP. So really the zoning classification isn't changing. It's just putting an overlay on top of the existing zoning. And this allows for a little flexibility in the design and layout of the property. This rezoning request is for 7.17 acres of land. It's going to create 19 new single-family lots and one open space / retention area. Again, I mentioned earlier the CUP is to allow for creative design, and that's what you'll see in this layout. It is to talk about innovation in planning and building types, various lot sizes. As you can see in the third bullet point down, the lot sizes range from 7,600 to roughly 27, almost 28,000 square feet, with an average lot size of 15,616. Just so you know, the average lot size, or the minimum lot size in the zoning district A2 is only 14,000. So they are an average greater than the minimum lot sizes for the underlying zoning. This slide here just shows a little bit about the difference in what the A2 is on the left, that's the standard regs, and with the A2 CUP, this is the setbacks they're requesting. So you can see there's a little bit of variation in all of them. minimizing them down just a little bit to accommodate the layout of this design. This property is kind of unique in its shape, so to fit it in there, they had to get a little creative with their setbacks. This is the general location of where the property is on Cleves-Warsaw Pike. Where you see the double D, that's where Western Hills Retirement Community is, so it is pretty much directly across the street. And that is what the zoning, when we do get the map updated, what it will look like. I'll have an A2 CUP there, should you guys approve it tonight. This is the, I'd like to call it the lucky number 7 maybe, that we're getting this property hopefully redeveloped. It looks like a 7, but you can kind of see, you come in off Cleves-Warsaw Pike, it kind of winds into a cul-de-sac in the rear. The lot in the northwest corner, which would be to the upper left, is that largest lot we were talking about at about 27,000, almost 28,000 square feet. And throughout it, you can see there's a little bit along the top or the northern fringe of the roadway system, you'll see some of the more smaller lots. Here are just some general pictures of the property. It is tucked back in the woods right now. One of the concerns that did come up during the zoning commission meeting, some residents on adjacent was concerned about the preservation of the trees around this property. As we know, Mr. Bossy from Ryan Interest, when they did the Greenside Estates development at the Par 3, they put an excellent effort in trying to maintain the tree buffer between the golf course, or what became their development, and the existing single-family residence around it. So their goal is to continue that throughout this new development that they're proposing on Cleves-Warsaw Pike. The zoning commission did hear this case back on August 5th, and they did recommend that you guys approve this, and they did have a vote of 5-0. So if you have any questions for me, I'm more than happy to answer them. Otherwise, I'll turn it over to Mr. Bossy from Ryan Interest.
Trustee Sturts, any questions?
No, thank you.
Trustee Seavey?
No, I think his packet on everything was comprehensive. I'm good.
Good. Mr. Bossy?
That's not Mr. Bossy.
I was going to say,
Who will you turn it over to?
Hi,
Abercrombie.
I'm Craig Abercrombie. I'm the engineer and put the application together on behalf of Mr. Bossy.
There you go.
To my right with Ryan Interest. Greg did a good thorough report. So I'm here for any engineering questions or zoning questions, and Steve can certainly answer any developer type of questions.
Trustee Sturts?
no, again, like Trustee Seavey said, the packet was comprehensive, and you answered the question about the trees. So, good.
Yeah.
Good here.
Yeah, very good.
All right,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Appreciate that. Okay, anything else to add?
Mr. Bossy?
Mr. Bossy.
Oh, now Mr. Boss, okay.
Steve Bossy, Robert C. Ryan Interest. What we're proposing here would be a patio-style ranch homes. It would be maintenance-free living where you'd have your grass cut, snow plowing taken care of. Price range probably $350,000 to $400,000. And we're excited. We were approached by the property owners about after they had seen what we did at Greenside, and really liked the area. And it's kind of an alternative to Greenside where it'll be all ranches, and maybe it doesn't fit in Greenside for somebody, but they could certainly fit in the patio home section. So there'll be some cross-selling there. So we're excited, and ask for your approval tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your good work.
Any other discussion?
No, thank you.
Motion, please.
Motion to close the public hearing for Delhi zoning case ZC 2020-02.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes, motion is approved. At this point, I'm going to ask that we have a motion to amend the agenda to bring up Resolution 2050-153, which is the action that we'd be having on this. That way, we finish this. Those that were here just for this won't have to stay in our cloister sheltered area here, if you would. So please, a motion.
Motion to move Resolution 2020-153 to after the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes. 153, resolution,
The resolution adopting.
please.
Resolution 2020-153, resolution adopting the recommendation of the Delhi Township Zoning Commission in case ZC 2020-02, concerning property located at 6236 Cleves Warsaw Pike from A2 Residence District to A2 CUP Residence District Community Unit Plan and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Is there any discussion on the adoption of this resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes. Very good. Resolution passes. Heading off to Public Works, please.
You're welcome.
Those that are jumping out, feel free. We'll wait 30 seconds, yeah?
Yeah.
Make sure I go back to where I was. Resolution 2020-151, resolution certifying to the county auditor final unpaid assessment amounts against abutting property owners for the construction, repair, and maintenance of sidewalk and driveway apron improvements along various township streets, ordered in accordance with revised code 5543.10 and its policy and procedures, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on the resolution?
Thank you, trustees. This is the final step for 2019's road project, just to send the remainder of the assessments down to the county. The majority of the residents have paid their bills.
Very good.
Thanks.
Any other discussion?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes. Hey, resolution passes. That goes to the fire department. Chief Campbell.
If I could just address the board, thank you, trustees,
Please.
regarding COVID, just an update. We are looking at just short of 300 cases right now since the outbreak occurred, and we are right around, I think as of this morning, is like 107 active cases, which means folks have either not been notified or have not notified the county public health that they have recovered, or they're still having symptoms and things like that. Also, I do know there's trouble on the contact tracing side where they may be difficult to get a hold of because they're not answering their phone or tracking that. But it is on a downward slope. We are seeing less active cases now than we were right around mid-June. So all good signs. The masks are working, social distancing is working. So we're starting to see it move in a positive direction.
Great.
Very good. That's
Thank you.
great news.
Thanks for tracking it.
Yeah. Keep on. Parks and Recreation, please. Mr. Supi.
Hello, trustees. Nothing new from the parks.
Short and sweet.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thanks.
Police Department. Nothing, Chief? Nothing. Thanks, sir. Very good. Okay, we'll go to the administration side. Resolution, please.
Resolution 2020-152, resolution authorizing amendment number 2 to the master agreement with Dynegy Energy Services East LLC, authorizing the township administrator to execute necessary documents, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Is there any discussion on this resolution?
I can give you a brief synopsis of this resolution. You have your aggregation program for electric, which comes due at the end of the year, so you need to have a new agreement in place for that. What residents will see based on the electric market out there and what rate you have, currently you have a rate that will go through June of next year. Prices have gotten a little better, so what our broker is suggesting happen is we let that price run through June and then get the lower price next June rather than get a price in December that kind of blends the remaining price and then a new price. So what residents will see is they'll get a notification, an opt-out notification at the end of this year, probably October, September, and the rate will hopefully be locked in by then. What you're allowing to happen with this agreement is when they tell us they have the best price they think we're going to get, then we can lock it in without further action by the board. So I'll be able to agree to that. So the residents will see that explanation on what they get in their opt-out notice, but the price will go till June, and then a new price will be in effect in June, which will be a little bit lower than it could be otherwise.
Good planning, very good.
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I kind of still have a question, if you don't mind. That's still stopping at, we still have a ceiling stop on that agreement, correct?
That is the natural gas program.
Okay, so there is no ceiling stop on the electric side?
So the electric will be a fixed rate.
Okay,
And so the gas is a little bit different where it can flex down,
right,
but you have a ceiling where it won't go above. But it can move down if the market goes down.
all right, all right.
Electric's different. It's just, it'll be a specific rate for that term.
All right, I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes, resolution passes. Self-insurance presentation, Melanie? Good
Yes.
evening.
Good evening. The self-insurance presentation, we do this annually before we do our renewal for our health insurance. This is per the Ohio Revised Code, Section 9.833, which sets some guidelines for our self-insurance program for healthcare benefits. The components are the employer, the insurance broker, the third-party administrator, the medical reimbursement, and the stop-loss carrier. All this is pretty much what you heard last year. There will be one change from last year, but our insurance broker is Horan Associates. We've had them for since 2017. Then we have our renewal for 2020. So our plan year is October 1st through September 30th of the following year. We engaged with Horan to review the medical plan and the strategy and to give us a recommendation. Based on the results of the market bid, Horan recommends that we remain self-funded, maintain the medical administration with key benefit administrators, and use the Elite Health medical plan. On this page, it shows that if the one change we are recommending is moving from the stop-loss carrier Gerber to the stop-loss carrier Peru American Fidelity. If we had stayed with the Gerber stop-loss, it would have been a 23.7% increase. And with going to Peru, it's a 7.7% increase. And the budgeting is based on our maximum liability, which it allows us to more accurately appropriate funds and put safeguards in place to allow for payment of claims. If you look at this page, the premium increase, you'll notice that the increase is actually 11.3% to the premiums. The reason this is different from the 7.7 is the way they come up with the premiums is we have fixed costs, which is the cost to administer the plan, and the claims costs. That increase was 11.3. Then after that, you add the laser liability. Under Gerber, we had 3 individuals lasered, and that meant the stop loss, which is typically $50,000, they created a stop loss that was higher than the $50,000. Under the new Peru, they're only going to be 1 laser, so that drops the liability to the township, which makes it a 7.7% increase overall, even though for all intents and purposes, it's about 11.3 is what we'll see. So the next is the TPA will remain key benefit administrators, and those are the individuals that process our claims. And if people have questions on anything, they can give them a call. The medical reimbursement, the plan we use is Elite Health. This is a tiered network. Tier 1 is mainly Tri-Health, St. Elizabeth, some stuff up in Kettering. We added Beacon Orthopedics is also Tier 1. And then Tier 2 is anything in the First Health network. So almost Any other big-name hospital will be in Tier 2. And Tier 3, there's limited amounts, so if anything that's not in the First Health Network would be a Tier 3. The stop-loss carrier, as I said, we're recommending going to Peru American Fidelity, and they're just the ones that they're saying if any of our claimants reach 50,000 or above, or the one that's lasered for that amount, they will reimburse us for that amount. So their risk is we're not going to go over 50,000 per individual, and this year so far we have not. So I guess we have a little bit over a month for me to eat my words, so I apologize. So the stop loss coverage lifetime maximum is unlimited. Policy period maximum unlimited. Specific, as I said, was 50,000 with the specific contract of 2412. Run-in is unlimited, and the coverage is for medical and prescription. The next page just shows the fixed costs. And then, which is a lot of little numbers. I also wanted to remind people about Our Health. Our Health is our near site clinic. They have combined with Marathon Health. We are going to continue with them. We had a contract with them for 3 years. So I just also want to mention that running to our near site clinic in conjunction with our health insurance is a great way to save costs. I just gave some little bit of information more about Our Health. We also have a wellness program. It is now being administered through Our Health, and the platform is LimeAid. The plan for the wellness year is August 1st through June 30th, because that gives them a month to do some calculations and get us the numbers before the next plan year. So people should already be logged on and earning some points. So if you have any questions, please contact me. Right now we're drinking lots of water and eating lots of vegetables. So, and that, for this plan, that premium reduction will be next year, starting October of 2021. And then our next steps are we need to pass a motion for the wellness program today, and then we'll have on the agenda next September 9th, the key benefits as the TPA, the Peru American Fidelity as the stop-loss carrier, and dental renewal as resolutions. Questions?
Any questions, Trustee Sturts?
No, thank you.
Trustee Seavey?
No, thank you.
Very good.
Great, thank
you
you.
for the presentation. Motion, please.
Motion to approve plan year October 2020 through September 2021, a 1% reduction on employee premium contribution for annual physical and biometric screening for themselves and covered spouse, and a 1% reduction on employee premium contribution for successful participation in the wellness program.
So moved.
Second,
All those in favor?
yes.
Yes.
Yes. Motion approved. Very good. And we already did 153, so we'll roll into 2020-154, Deerfield West Subdivision, street lighting.
Resolution 2020-154, resolution renewing Deerfield West Subdivision Street Lighting District contract pursuant to revised code 515.081 and 9.30, confirming assessment pursuant to revised code 515.11 and revised code 515.08, declaring an emergency and dispensing with second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion? Mr. DeLong?
Yes, I'll just mention this one, and actually Resolution 2020-155 and 2020-156. These are 3 street lighting districts that are up for reassessment this year. We raised it about 3%, which is average. It is to cover cost of the electricity and maintenance of the poles in all 3 of these districts. So we will see these 3. I think this was the first ones I did after I started here, so I feel like I've gone full circle. So, but yeah, these are. We'll see these 3 again in another 3 years. So,
Okay,
if you
great.
have any questions, let me know.
Any other discussion?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
And I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes. Resolution passes.
Resolution 2020-155, resolution renewing Greenery Subdivision Street Lighting District contract pursuant to revised code 515.081 and 930, confirming assessment pursuant to revised code 515.11 and revised code 515.08, declaring emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce, move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any further discussion on this resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes, resolution passes.
Resolution 2020-156, resolution renewing Oakwood Park subdivision street lighting district contract pursuant to RC 515.081 and 9.30, confirming assessment pursuant to RC 515.11 and RC 515.08, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any further discussion on this resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes, resolution passes. On to the nuisance violations.
Resolution 2020-157, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation at 336 Greenwell Avenue, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Discussion, Mr. DeLong.
Yeah, well, we originally started with 12, so we're down to 9 tonight. But I will mention, I'll just cover all of them from 157 through 165. There is a correction on resolution 160 we need to address. The address, it's my error when I sent it to Mr. Cameron. It should be 5433 Cleves, Warsaw. But you have the correct resolution in your packet, so we're good there. But everything else was in the condition, as you see. Some people have made an effort. There is one, you'll see some mattresses by the road. They just moved them up by the house, so the violation is still in place. There has been some residents who have attempted to mow their yard, but they just do the front. The back still remains long, so they were all in the condition, as you pretty much see in the photos, so we do request you declare all 9 of these nuisances, or properties a nuisance. So if you have any questions, let me know.
Very good. Any other discussion?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes, resolution passes.
Resolution 2020-158, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation at 289 Francisridge Drive, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any further discussion on this resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
And I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes, resolution passes.
Resolution 2020-159, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation at 421 Leith Avenue, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Is there any other discussion on this resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
And I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes, resolution passes.
Resolution 2020-160, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation at 5433 Cleves Warsaw Pike, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any further discussion on this resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes, resolution passes.
Resolution 2020-161, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation at 273 Francis Ridge Drive, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Is there any discussion on this resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this.
One moment on discussion.
I'll
Sorry,
chime in.
sorry.
The photo you see up here does have just debris, but there's both debris and excessive vegetation. This property we're working with them. They've got some, they're basically have moved a lot of their household items outside. So we're trying to get this property resolved using the CARES program through the township and everything else. But it is primarily debris, but there is some excessive vegetation, so, yeah. But the resolution you have in there is correct. I do apologize for that.
All right.
Very
Sorry
good.
about that.
Any other discussion?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes. Resolution passes.
Resolution 2020-162, a resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation at 5344 Orange Lawn Avenue, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any other discussion on this resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes. Resolution passes.
Resolution 2020-163, resolution declaring nuisance for accumulated debris at 416 Greenwell Avenue, declaring an emergency and dispensing with a second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any discussion on this resolution? Where is that located on Greenwell?
Just north of Maloney's. This is the apartment building. It used to be a trinket shop.
Oh, yeah. Now I know where. Okay. Thank you. Any other discussion?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes. Resolution passes.
Resolution 2020-164, resolution declaring nuisance for accumulated debris at 1196 Anderson Ferry Road, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Discussion on this resolution. Is this an abandoned property? Is somebody living there? They just threw them out there or? Okay.
Not okay.
They're camping out.
Well, yeah, that's why I'm kind of stunned at the whole, that's what we do, I guess, but that's,
I wish I had an answer for you.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
We're at 820 violations this year, so.
820 already, which surpasses what you had last year.
For 12 months.
Yeah.
12 months.
And that's what it takes, folks. You know, it's not that everyone wants to be a jerk, but you got to clean your place, cut your grass, take care of your roof, your shutters, and leave your mattresses in your house. Hello. All right. No other discussion.
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Louis, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes, resolution passes.
Resolution 2020-165, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation and accumulated debris at 4011 Delhi Pike, declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution.
Any other discussion on this resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
And I second the motion to dispense with the second reading of this resolution.
All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Louis, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes, resolution passes. More to come at the next meeting, huh? Isn't it great?
Slowing down a little bit.
Good. This is a section for public comments, if you would. I have someone that has signed in tonight who would like to address the board on the storage lot on Cleves, Warsaw. Peggy Hendricks. She's gone. I don't have anything of what she wanted to say, just that's what she wanted to comment on. I saw one of the pictures that we had on. Did we address her concerns incidentally here? And
Peggy is actually a family member that is selling the property.
Ah.
So, yeah,
okay.
yeah. She's
Very-
a Langenberg. the name is so
Langenberg.
Langenberg. No,
Sure.
yeah, she is a family member. So she spoke at the zoning commission meeting about just the history of the property. So
Okay.
Did she want to do that tonight?
I think she's probably pretty happy right now, so you're probably.
Okay.
I was going to say, I think we inadvertently took care of her, so that's good.
Yeah.
Aggie, if you're out there, any questions, feel free to call us, call Trustee, call Jack, anybody. We'll handle it, but I'm glad that she hopefully is a happy camper, so. We also had an email from Ed Capel. Ed is one of our residents in the township and gives us correspondence periodically, but this one I noticed was a little bit different. He asked if we could read some of his letter, I guess, at the meeting. So I'll turn it over to you, Jack, if you want. Do you have that handy?
Sure. I can read what Mr. Capel had sent in, which we've accommodated before, so it's not an out of the norm and it's not over your time limit. So this is to Mike Davis, Delhi trustees, Sturtson CV, fiscal officer and administrator, Hamilton County auditor, and department managers. Date is August 25, 2020. I would come to tonight's meeting, but since you normally don't answer questions and any substantive issues on development or an executive session, it'd be a waste of my time and probably, as you would think, of your time for me to attend. As is usual, I have some tax issues or statements or questions, however you want to consider them. Attached is a summary of TIF exempt and abated amounts for 2019 and 2020. The totals for exempt values are by code for Delhi along with the TIF amounts for the 3 TIF projects. Interesting that in 2020, the TIF incremental amount decreased by $422,650, which I suspect is due to ownership moving to Delhi. Strange that Code 630 Townships does not reflect an increase. Another anomaly is that Code 680 Hospitals and Retirement, along with 685 Public Worship, show a decrease of $18,457,720 and $954,840 respectively. It also seems strange that Code 740 Other would go down by $414,290. Here's a table of changes made in the last 2 or 3 years of properties you purchased and took out of the property tax equation. I will just kind of summarize this table. 4820 Delhi, auditor value $122,030, total tax $240. 5107 Foley, auditor value $73,560, total tax $1,855. 629 Neeb, $81,860, auditor value, total tax $2,132. 5025 Delhi or the Remke property, $4,749,070, auditor value, total tax $142,160. 400 Anderson Ferry, auditor value $461,370, $33,099 audit or tax value, TIF value of $59,800. These values represent amounts taken from the tax base, non-TIF, and will directly affect my levy tax rate when next put on the ballot. Of course, there is always the TIF discussion where you say the added TIF dollars are needed for debt payment, infrastructure, highways, equipment, etc., as Jack will tell me is a good thing for Delhi. Certainly it gives the trustees more money to spend, but does not address Delhi's greatest asset, our employees' wages and benefits or the supplies required for them to operate with. Now that Bailey has announced their project of 50 or 60 apartments, that could mean 226 by Northland, I'm sure he means North Point, and 50 by Bailey. By geography and target market, there may not be a conflict, except that Delhi empty nesters will have a choice in the high-end segment that could be swayed by the ability of a Bailey apartment dwelling has preference on the Bailey assisted living list. I wonder what the consequences will be if Plan the Pike fizzles. So that's the end of his course.
That's the letter?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Capel, and with everything going on with COVID and everything happening, I understand not wanting to be here, but at the same time, feeling like you're not getting questions answered. I have a couple comments, but I'll yield over to Trustee Sturts first. Do you have anything you want to offer on that?
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of information he provided us, but in the long run, the tax bases that our developments will warrant for us and the properties that have being developed will warrant for the township will outweigh greatly what he's making comments on at this particular time. And that's an overview of what I have to say, but basically that's my take on it. And I'd really like our public to know that the plans we have will generate many, many more taxes for us than these numbers that were quoted tonight.
Thank you. Trustee Seavey.
Yeah, again, thank you, Mr. Capel, for taking the time and showing us these numbers. The one piece that we can't put a hard number to, even though a lot of the, quote, experts will tell you, is the development factor around what we're doing. And for everything that we are changing, we are taking control of, we are rejuvenating, reinventing. It's all called economic development. And sometimes you move the peanut from one side of the board to the other. And I guess that's kind of what we've done here. And I am so pleased that these properties belong to Delhi Township and that control is ours and that we have turned it to you and we're listening to what you want, especially when it comes to the Remke property. So thank you, Mr. Capel, but I'm a strong believer in economic development and everything that it brings along with it, including the value of our properties.
Very good. Well, that steals my thunder, so there you go. I agree, but it's a lengthy letter, and I appreciate Ed taking the time to do that. It's not an easy letter, but as always, that's not something, we could unpack every line in that if we wanted to or could have the time to do that, but we don't. But at the same time, those types of concerns, Ed, you're more than welcome to call to the township, talk it out. And it might get to the end of the day where we're just going to agree to disagree. It sounds like kind of where we're getting closer to. But we always welcome other thoughts, even they might not differ from what we have. If there's something going on that you think we're going off a bridge that's not connected on the other side, then let us know. But the people that have been involved with this, the expert planners involved with this, and even looking at the numbers, which were conservative numbers, I think we're on the right course. And as I said, we're very aware of what you're saying, and we are cautious. But at the same time, everything is pointing go, and it's time. I don't know how else to say it. We got great things happening. So,
Mike, too, the piece about Bailey, I'm excited for Bailey to expand. I really am. It's a wonderful facility. My mother was there. I know that Mike is affiliated with Bailey now, but for them to put that type of growth into the area again, and I don't see Bailey's addition as competition to what we're doing. So congratulations, Bailey, on your expansion. It's just more excitement into the township and good move.
yeah, good. No other discussion on that? I don't have anything. Jim, you've been quiet on.
The only thing I would like to add is that I believe two of those properties were adjacent to existing properties of the townships. And any time that there is an opportunity to buy a piece of property adjacent to ours, for a fair price, we're going to take advantage of it. So,
Yeah.
just add that.
And I appreciate Ed. We've all known Ed for a long, long time. He comes from a finance background, numbers, accounting. So, he does know many, many things, and we appreciate that. And I'm always appreciative, and I think I've said that. I think we all feel it. Anyone who cares about the township, the place where they live that much, is a good thing. So we're very appreciative of that. So, okay, I have no other public comments, but we'll have community events.
The Farmers Market final weekend is this Saturday, August 29th from 9 to 12 at Delhi Park at 5125 Foley Road. The Delhi Historical Society virtual program, Cincinnati Loves Geta, will be Monday, September 14th from 7 to 8 p.m. Food etymologist Dan Wallert will share the story of Cincinnati Geta. The Delhi Branch Library programs, the Kids Virtual Homeschool Book Club, The One and Only Ivan by Catherine Applegate will be Wednesday, September 23rd from 1 to 2 p.m. Curbside pickups of materials and limited capacity reopening is still going on Monday through Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the Delhi Branch Library at 5095 Foley Road. Tuesday, November 3rd, 2020 presidential election upcoming deadlines and reminders. October 5th is the last day to register to vote or update your name or address in person at the Board of Elections, at the BMV locations, and the public library. October 6th is voting early in person begins at Hamilton County Board of Elections. And now through October 31st, you can request an absentee ballot by mail. You must fill out and submit an absentee application to get your ballot mailed to you. You can visit votehamiltoncounty.ohio.gov for voting information.
Very good. We do have to go to executive session tonight. Is there anything else anybody wanted to add to the meeting before we go entertain a motion for executive? Very good. Well, we'll go to executive. Motion, please.
Motion to retire to executive session to consider the economic development matters, to consider the purchase of property for public purchase, and to prepare for and reviewing negotiations with bargaining units.
So moved.
Second.
Wait 1 second, if you would. I have a question on the motion for executive session for clarification. I know it does say negotiations with bargaining units, but if we are talking about employee discipline thereof, things like that, is that all part of that, or does that have to be changed?
Could be one, if you feel like that's an additional topic you want to discuss, why don't you just add that and that'll be fine too.
Okay.
So just, like you're in order to make a motion to amend the motion and then vote on that.
I would like to make a motion to amend that, if you don't mind, my fellow trustees. Just in case discussion rolls into things like that, I want to be free and without you saying we can't have that discussion.
Okay. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Luby, if you would just read all of that and add employee discipline.
Motion to retire to executive session to consider the economic development matters, to consider the purchase of property for public purchase, and to prepare for and reviewing negotiations with bargaining units and employee discipline matters.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Luby, please call the roll.
Mrs. Sturts?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes. Very good. We will go to executive. We thank everyone for being here tonight. Our next meeting is September 9th, Wednesday, September 9th. I don't know if we're here, if we're on the internet highway. Well, I guess that'll be determined as we kind of continue on. If the numbers are looking great and things are quiet in the community, I don't know. I guess we'll figure it out as we go, if we're going to be here or not. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.